It's now 6 o'clock on June 7, 2017. I'd like to call the Plain Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. Got attendance roll call on here, Tom?
Mr. Beck.
Here.
Mr. Souls.
Yes.
Mr. Sutton.
Here.
Mr. Reichel.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pasolini.
Here.
And Mr. Carpenter.
Here. All right, do we have any changes to the agenda as presented?
No changes.
None? All right, I need to move to approval minutes for the May 3rd, 2017 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Who won on that second?
So the tie.
Jeff or Tim?
Mr. Pasolini.
Yes.
Mr. Reichel.
Yes.
Mr. Sutton.
Yes.
Mr. Souls.
Yes.
And Mr. Beck.
Yes. Any unfinished business this evening? Nope. All right, new business. We have 3 appeals on the agenda today. Appeal number 1257-17, 1258-17, and 1259-17. I would like to read the fire department's comments into the record for all 3 appeals. I can find them here. There. All right, so appeal number 1257-17. The request for variance has been reviewed and there are no recommendations or suggestions regarding the appeal. Appeal number 1258-17, the request for a change of non-conforming use has been reviewed and there are no recommendations regarding this appeal. And appeal number 1259-17, the request for a variance has been reviewed and there are no recommendations or suggestions regarding the appeal. That is from Scott Kelly, the inspector, Division of Inspections and Investigations. All right, so I'm going to administer the oath now. Is there anyone that's going to speak tonight, whether it's in favor or against any 3 of the appeals? Anyone that wishes to speak, please stand. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So appeal number 1257-17. Jeffrey Nicely. Okay, is there anyone to speak in favor of the appeal? All right, please step forward.
Yes, sir.
Can you state your name and address for the record?
Sure.
And have you signed in already? Back
There's one
there?
here, and there's one back there. Which one? I did.
You can sign in at the podium right here.
You was.
Yeah, just go sign in the back.
In the back?
Yeah, that's fine.
State your name and address.
Sure. Jeff Nicely, 3676 Mount Pleasant Street, Northwest, North Canton, Ohio, 44720.
Thank you.
On the way.
All right, please proceed to present your case to us.
Yes, okay, so I purchased a house, and on the land, I would like to build a garage to house my truck, my cars, my lawn equipment, and my boat. And the allowable lot is, or the allowable size, or square footage size, is 2,500 square feet.
Please
I'm
sign.
asking to be
Probably everybody.
3,200 square feet. Here's it, so it's over the size.
Mhm.
You want me to push on?
Towards you, yes.
Thank you. Hello, Beto.
Got it.
And I was told here to come here today, meet with you guys and discuss that building. So I'm gonna keep the building exactly the same as what my house looks like, very updated. It'll have the same siding, the same look. It will be very inconspicuous, and I guess that's what I'm looking for.
All right, thank you. Yeah, is anyone else speaking in favor of this appeal? Anyone speaking against this appeal? All right, questions, discussion?
Jeff, why is it you need, why do you need an additional 700 square feet? Why can't you go up to 2,500 square?
That's the way we originally drew it up, and my boat's a big size boat, and my truck's big. I'd like to keep it inside, not out of the way, because I do own a company business. I'd like to hide that, people come by, just try to clean it up, and I have.
So basically what you're saying is the 2,500 would not be big enough to house everything you have?
Pretty much, that's where it's at. You know, that's why I bought the property originally, and I was hoping to put a garage in there, a workshop, keep my stuff in, so forth and so on. Try to keep it as nice as possible.
And I see the location is quite a bit back off the road.
Yes.
Kind of.
That's correct.
Inconspicuous.
You'd have to climb up the hill
to see it.
and there's some
Did you
trees.
do any of your business out of there or work out of there or anything? When you said a workshop, what kind of workshop is it?
You know, you got your cars, you got your boats, your motorcycles, that's, I'm just working on that, keeping it out of them.
How about your next door neighbor you were talking about?
Yes, I talked to both of them. The one in front, Randy, said no problem. The other guy, my other Randy, had no problem with it. So I spoke with both the neighbors, and the other surrounding properties is basically woods and open fields.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And you intend to side it
Oh,
and
yeah.
match the house and do all
It'll
that?
be exactly like the house with the window trim, the siding color, yeah. It'll be exactly the same.
All right, any further questions?
I have none. Mr. Souls did a good job of asking.
There you go.
The ones I was gonna ask, so.
So, we're good?
We gotta make a
We have
motion.
a motion here and vote.
I got it. I've got a motion, Mr. Chairman. Whereas applicant owner Jeffrey Nicely, 3676 Mount Pleasant Street, Northwest Canton, Ohio, 44720, Jeffrey and Sean M. Nicely, 3676 Mount Pleasant Street, Northwest Canton, Ohio, 44720. Applicant requests a variance to place a 40-foot by 80-foot, 3,200 square foot detached cold storage building. That always throws me when you say cold storage. I'm thinking he's gonna have like sides of beef in there or something. Building on the property located at 3676 Mount Pleasant Street, Northwest Canton, Ohio, 44720. Parcel number 55-02119. To grant the following: a 700 square foot size variance required, 2,500 square feet permitted, 3,200 square feet requested.
Second.
Discussion?
I would, based upon the responses given by Mr. Nicely, I would be in favor of the appeal. I think he's demonstrated the requisite practical difficulties based upon the truck and the boat and equipment and everything that he has. Sits way back off the road, neighboring properties have no issues, so I would be in favor of the appeal.
I would agree.
As would I.
All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Pausalides?
Yes.
Mr. Reichel?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton?
Yes.
Mr. Souls?
Yes.
And Mr. Beck?
Yes. All right,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Brandon.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Come, next time you get an opportunity, come back into the zoning,
Okay,
we'll get that paperwork filled out.
that'd be great. I will see you shortly. Thank you, guys.
All right, next appeal on the agenda is number 1258-17. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the appeal? Did you swear in at the beginning?
We didn't know.
Okay. All right, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes,
Okay, and please state your names, and did you sign in?
I'm Carol Geyer. and
Walter
Mrs.
Geyer.
Walter Geyer.
I signed in.
All right, and then please state your address.
3979 Columbus Road Northeast, Canton, Ohio.
All right? Just present your appeal to us.
Okay, we have a building now, not in use, that was a flower shop, that we had come and gotten okay to put the flower shop in for 25 years. It's been there. It's been sitting empty for,
Well, we leased it out.
yeah, But what we would like to do is we would like to put a doggy daycare boarding in that building.
I'm just gonna, real quick, one at a time, please. I mean, one can speak and then the other.
I wasn't.
He wasn't gonna talk at all.
Okay.
I suppose.
Yeah. So, there will be no change in the building structure. The whole inside, well, not the whole inside, but most of it is all cork. Years ago it was a cheese, a place where they used to keep cheese, so it's all inside is cork, so it's very soundproof. As far as taking the dogs out, we're going to do that, not kennel them at all outside. You know, we will, because to keep the noise down, and they, you know, I mean, nobody likes barking dogs. But we're figuring on building like 12 kennels. It's not gonna be a huge, just something that him and I can handle when we retire here. And that's really all that I have for you. It's just something, this is our first step. This is where we want to come first before we went any further.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of the appeal? All right, is there anyone to speak against the appeal?
Against.
Against?
Yes.
Can I ask a question? Ms. Garrett, did you sign in?
She didn't, I did.
Would you please sign in, ma'am?
Sure.
Here.
I've never done this.
Sir, do you wish to speak against this appeal?
Against the bill,
Yes.
what our problem is.
Well, we're just trying to find out if you wish to speak against this appeal. Is that why you're here, for this appeal?
Yes.
If you want to speak against it, then we'll have one of you come up whenever they're finished here. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'll have you talk.
Okay, I'm
because
fine.
I
All
can't.
right, thank
You go ahead and have a
You
seat.
can just set a pen down there, they can.
Oh, I swipe pen.
Oh, no.
I believe you raised your hand first, so.
You could go first, I'm okay with that.
Would you like to come up and speak first then, ma'am? Or sir?
I wasn't planning on doing this, but like you said, they're wonderful people.
Hold on.
First, hold on.
Did either one of you sign in?
Yes, that's
Back
fine.
there.
Did you take the oath? Okay, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and address, and then speak one at a time.
Okay, my name is Patricia Unkefer, 5619 Bentler Northeast, Louisville, Ohio, 44641.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead and speak.
Yeah, you can go ahead and say what you need to say.
Wasn't planning on this, but, because we have such nice neighbors, and like my husband said, this is probably gonna be a cause, you know, people to dislike one another, but, our houses, our bedrooms are kind of in the direction of their place, and we just feel that dogs will bark any time of the day and night. They get nervous, you know, just dogs do that, and we have a nice quiet neighborhood, and we don't have that problem now. We did years ago, and it's a nuisance, but that is our main objection, is dogs barking, because dogs will bark all the time, or if they get nervous or whatever, and so that was our main objection.
Okay. Can you please state your name?
And
What's your name,
Please
sir?
state your name.
Larry Unkefer,
Okay,
address
sure.
5619 Bentler, Northeast Louisville. And all I want to know is, what does this all entail?
As far as what they're doing?
I think that's,
Pardon?
As far as what they're doing there, or what they want to do?
Yes.
Okay. I think she just explained a lot of it, maybe you didn't hear it, but they
No,
basically want
this is
to.
very bad.
Okay.
The hearing here is terrible. I can't believe that you people even do any business.
Larry, well, he, his
Can't hear
one
too
hearing
well.
aid is.
That
well,
isn't it though.
Well, I don't think you're hearing, that's what it is. You're not hearing what you're saying.
Basically, what they're saying is they want to have a kennel operations that has 12 stalls
Have
and
what?
12
12 kennels.
kennels for
12
up to 12
kennels.
dogs. And they don't want to have outside kennels, they're inside, and they'll be taking the dogs in and out, like one at a time. That's what they're presenting to us.
Okay?
They gotta be inside?
That's what they've said.
According to their testimony, yes.
That's what they've said.
No outside dogs at all.
I-
To go to the
Only to
rec-
go to the
To
bathroom.
go to the bathroom, we'll be taking them out.
One at a time.
Do you,
Right.
look, can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
Do you have any, if they promise to have the dogs inside, and the only time they'll be going outside is to go to the bathroom, do you have any objection?
Well, knowing dogs, that's my objection. My objection is if you're trying to sleep, you hear a dog, it's gonna wake you up, or if you wanna sleep in, or sleeping is the big thing.
Do you have a dog?
No, we don't. We did years ago, it was an outside dog.
They tend to
No, we
wake-
don't.
They tend to wake you up.
All right, anything further?
No,
Oh, okay, thank you.
Ma'am, your turn.
Did you take the oath?
I took the oath, I did not sign it.
Okay, please sign in and then state your name and address.
This is the way to start. I hate that I'll tell you. You need it. And they do business like.
My name is Christine Allman. I live at 3967 Columbus Road, North Canton, or Northeast Canton, 44705. I am objective of this because I think putting a kennel will lower the value of my house when I go to sell it. Also, I have a dog, and when I let this dog out, they say it's gonna, they're gonna keep their dogs in at all times. I don't know, I just feel like dogs like to go outside, and that's not gonna work real well for them, but, also that if they're out, when I'm out letting my dog out, they're gonna be barking at each other. I mean, usually he's pretty good, but still. I won't be able to open my windows, even though they say they're gonna keep them inside, but dog odor is not the best smelling, and the noise when they're outside. My neighbors who live behind me, they have rows of fence behind, or not fence, trees. And when they have parties on the weekends, I can hear them with my windows opened and closed. And then if they're taking their dogs back out and forth one at a time, I'm not gonna be able to enjoy my backyard in peace and quiet with them walking in and out. And also my back corner of my garage is like 30 feet from the front of their entrance of the building that they will be using. And I'm gonna have them back entering and leaving with their dogs when they drop them off anyway. So, I think. And they're not gonna let them run at all. Can I ask them that question?
We're gonna ask
Big
questions.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, questions from the board? Oh, yeah, is there anyone else to speak against the appeal? All right, questions from the board?
I have some questions.
Should I come back up there?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay, how long have you owned this property?
25 years.
87.
And is there, did you say there's a flower shop there now?
No, it was a floral shop.
How long has it been since it's been a floral shop?
2006.
He can't help it. He's helping me.
So you were running a floral shop until 2006?
Yes,
Okay. Do you live at that location?
yes,
So you were using it as a home and also as a business?
right.
Okay. Since 2006, what have you been using it for other than a home?
It was rented out for a couple years to a person that had pottery and sunflowers. But other than that, it's just been sitting.
Were you living there during that time it was rented out?
Yes, yes.
And the portion that you were renting out, is that like a part of the home or is it separated?
It's separated by a driveway.
And how long, when was the last time somebody was doing something in that separate place that you were renting out?
I think it's been maybe 3 to 4 years ago.
So around 2013, 2014, you stopped renting it out for the pottery purpose?
Yes, yes.
And other than for the pottery or sunflowers, were you renting it out for any other purpose?
No,
Were you using it for any other purpose?
no,
Are you currently using it now?
no.
It's just sitting there?
It's just sitting
And
there.
I assume there's nothing in there?
No, no, just little storage things.
And you're gonna have, your intent is to put into that building 12 kennels.
Yes, it's a large, it's 2,500 square feet.
And is this going to be for overnight boarding?
Yes, if they want us daycare and overnight.
And what will be the maximum amount of time that someone could have a dog at your facility?
I would guess a week. You know, probably vacation, people going on vacation.
Is your property fenced in?
No,
Do you plan on fencing it
no,
in? And is it your testimony today that your plan is to have 12 kennels, could have 12 dogs in there at any one time, and that the only time that they're gonna come out is to go to the restroom, to have them go to the bathroom?
yes. The inside the building is so big that we plan on making it safe for the dogs, play area. I mean, there's a lot of space. And like I said, it's cork on the inside. So, I don't like barking dogs myself. I have 2 dogs right now, and they're out all the time, so,
So then on the
and they're
inside,
bad.
on the inside, you're saying then you're gonna have 12 separate kennels, then a separate area to where they can play
Yes, the
on the
whole,
inside?
the whole outside. We do have in the back, there's a cement slab that we talked about if we, just put them out one at a time again, because we don't know, some dogs aren't social. You can't just throw 5 dogs out together. I mean, we have to do it safely and to be sure that they have no way to exit at all because of Columbus Road right there. So it would, at some point, I'd like to put something out there like just fenced in around the basketballs there so that I can let them out so I'm not holding them, but that would be the only time, and it would just be to relieve themselves.
Now, this indoor area though, where they can go play,
Mhm.
how will you secure that? Because like you said, you need
Well,
5 or 6
people are gonna have
dogs
to
in there.
buzz to get in. There's not gonna be access in and out of the building. And as far as people coming to pick up and drop off their dogs, this is gonna be a scheduled thing. There's only gonna be like an hour to 2 that the dogs can be picked up and dropped off. It's not gonna be just, It's gonna be very scheduled.
What is your experience in running a kennel?
I don't have any. I love animals, I've been doing a lot of research, collecting things, health-wise. It's just a passion of mine. I love animals.
I just see that most of the kennels that I've seen, the commercial kennels, through the 12 individual kennels themselves, the bedding area pretty much stays inside the building. But then most that I've seen would then have 12 individual doors on the back of the bedding area where they have access to go out into a chain run area.
Well,
Those are most of the ones I've seen, which would then take them with a flap or what have you in between, or a dog door, where they could then leave the bedding area and go out to get the fresh air at their own will. Spend as much time, I've got 3 dogs myself. Spend as much time in the fresh air and then come and go as they please to that dog door. Do you see that happen?
I don't see that happening because of where these kennels will have to be. They're gonna be in a back room, they're gonna be sides, you know, so that the dogs don't just have a little place to sleep. I plan on having a timed day where each dog is gonna get attention. They're not gonna be locked up in a cage. I'm gonna bring them out and spend quality time with each of them. I hate taking my dog to the kennel. I hate it because I feel like after I leave, my dog's been in a cage. They stick a bow in her head, you know. So, yeah, I just want to have a nice place where people can bring their animals and know they're cared for good. And we're going to have cameras that we can be watched all the time.
I'm sure it depends on the breed, but would you agree to a certain extent that dogs like to be outside?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it would be, like I said, a scheduled thing. I don't expect them to hold themselves for 6 to 8 hours. No. It's gonna be from one to the other. It's gonna be our job.
I have no questions, but I'll make a motion. Thank you, ma'am. Whereas applicant owner Walter and Carol Geyer, 3979 Columbus Road, Northeast Canton, Ohio 44705, request permission to change a non-conforming use on the property located at 3979 Columbus Road, Northeast Canton 44705, that's parcel number 52-14706. Previous non-conforming use was retail sales and service of floral and ceramics. Requested a change of non-conforming use to dog care and boarding, and that is to grant the following. Article section 1000.1B, change of non-conforming use.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion?
I do have some comments. Ma'am, I have no doubt that you probably would run a good kennel and probably a good business, but unfortunately, from my standpoint, the resolutions of the Plain Township Board of Zoning specifically provide that once you can discontinue, there's 2 things that I have a problem with. One, once you discontinue use or abandon it for a period of 2 years or more, it's basically effectively abandoned, and you have to use it for the purpose of that district, and I believe it's our residential one.
It's RR.
RR, which essentially would not permit that to be used. So you testified that this has not been used for, I believe, what you say, in excess of 2 years? So because of what your testimony is, I think you've abandoned the use. So I don't think you even have a non-conforming use to go to. But beyond that, it says the change of a non-conforming use has to be, and I'll read it, a non-conforming use shall not be changed or substituted for another non-conforming use unless such change of use is identical, which we can all agree this isn't identical. I don't think the dog would be making pottery or doing flowers. Or in less conflict with the character and use of the district of that. And I don't think a dog kennel, based upon what your testimony is gonna be less conflict than what a floral or ceramic place would be. That's just my opinion. So for those reasons, I would not be in support of that appeal. I don't know if anyone else has any comments.
I'm glad you opened up the book for the, your first part of your comments, Mr. Souls, but yeah, I go to the writing and the wording as, and being equal to or a lesser conflict. And I don't see this as a lesser conflict than what you had stated previously. And I echo your sentiments that you'd probably be great kennel operators, but just going to the zoning resolution, I'd have to say no as well.
Any further discussion, comments? All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Marsolis?
No.
Mr. Reichel?
No.
Mr. Sutton?
No.
Mr. Souls?
No.
Mr. Beck?
No. All right, thank you. We now move to appeal number 1259-17, Nesbit Enterprises LLC. Anyone speak in favor? Did you sign in?
Yes, I
Okay,
did.
please state your name and address for the record.
Tom Nesbitt, 6882 Meadowlands, Northwest, North Canton, Ohio. Nesbitt Enterprises would like to make an appeal to reduce the amount of parking spaces required for the proposed addition to the building. We'd like to change it to 138 as shown on the drawings, and we'll go 174. The calculation was submitted on the drawings. You got copies of the drawings? We can put them up if anybody wants to see them. But based on the employee count of 122 with 5, you have,
Yeah, we've got them right there.
based on an employee count of 122 and 5, yes, we see our maximum about 135. So like to propose the 138, move it to 174. Also, from a recap, we replatted all and combined all the lots as indicated prior, so all 3 plats now are combined as one, which cleans up those situations that we had earlier. So,
Yes.
All right. Good, thank you.
yeah.
Anyone else to speak in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone to speak against the appeal?
Sign the paper, Carol. Sign
Do you sign in paper?
What that?
Do you pick up the sign in paper?
Yeah.
I'll sign.
No.
Did you take the oath?
I did.
Okay, and please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Josh Burgett. I live at 3081 Orion Street. I believe last time you guys heard from Angela, my fiance. I guess I just have a few issues with the lot. And I hear now that the county has changed it all to one piece of property. So I'm guessing it's commercial. I think we've talked before about it being zoned all commercial against a residential lot. And we have had a few issues in the past with water, and we still have that. I guess I wasn't in the last meeting before I traveled a lot. I'm out of town. And Angela spoke before, but I guess we're looking for a resolution for the water issue that we have from runoff from his parking lot in his Lake County Park.
Anything further?
I guess the fence, so if I read correctly on the Plain Township zoning, and I may just be reading this wrong or interpreting it wrong, but when we get to the buffer section, we're looking at a, let me see, where are we at? We're at 60310. On number 2 is a non-living opaque structure, solid masonry wall or solid fence that is compatible with a principal structure. Maintain landscape earth mound of at least 5 feet wide, not less than 4 feet, more than 6 feet in height. I mean, that fence that's there is on what used to be a residential lot against our residential lot, and it's a 6-foot chain link fence with razor wire on top of it. And, I mean, we can see right through it. They're right in our side yard. I mean, we can see their equipment running right outside of our bedroom. We have a pool in the backyard, and you can see all that from our backyard. So I guess our concerns is the fence correct? We don't necessarily feel that we should be able to see through it, and we feel that it's a little short. Their guys that are out there working close to that fence can look right over it, but the lay of the land, I'm not sure if any of you have been over there or been down that street. You can see out of that fence and right into our backyard. So we have the water concern, of which we have been under the impression that we were going to get a mound of dirt of some type back there to divert water runoff. And we have yet to see that, or vegetation. So that's what I have.
Please spell your last name.
It's Burchett, B-U-R-C-H-E-T-T.
You say you're under the impression he was getting a mound of dirt from who? From the property owner?
I was under the impression from the last meeting, and it was just my communication with Angela. I think she was thinking that was one of the outcomes, I think, was that we were going to do something to divert the water. Might have been directed towards Mr. Nisbet.
Your address?
3081 Orion, Orion.
And do you have anything further?
I believe that's it.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak against the appeal?
I can add to that.
Did you
I
sign in?
spoke last time and did you
Do any of you wish to see the pictures? I believe you all saw the pictures in the book.
I saw them last.
Yeah.
I drive that.
If I can show, this was the original mound. This was a very tall, and I think it was all the topsoil that they drew off and they put up, and we didn't have any water runoff at that time.
That's the only
It
thing
was
I
all
was
going
gonna
back and
say.
down through this drainage. And now that's all gone, and he's actually, all this, the bushes and everything that he planted, he took it back out, and everything is now against the fence.
That's the only thing I was gonna add is the mound was there. And as soon as the fence
The sign sheet was disappeared.
I'm guessing applicant number 2 is.
I wonder if we can get one to re-sign before this is
I can make a comment. No. Is there anyone else to speak against the appeal?
You come back up, sir. I've got a couple questions. In looking at the mapping, to the one concern, Mr. Burchett, I see, this might, obviously, those folks live right here, over here. This area here, is that mounded? Will it be mounded?
Well, that's our new landscape buffer that we proposed on the drawing, so, the conversation can be had with the residents if they want it on our side of the fence or on your side.
And he mentioned foliage, and I see this is foliage. These are all trees.
Probably didn't see the drawings, but we have it proposed, it's probably,
And you've got a new catch basin over there.
They want to go up.
Here, this one would probably be for,
So you're saying it can, will raise it?
well, actually, this is biased, I don't understand. Yeah, they've said water,
this is tough.
yep, to see it, but it all slopes to the north. This is about 23 inches higher than that area over there. So the water currently is,
Green, the green's out
it
there.
runs,
These streets do
yes.
nothing. It's because the land slopes and that, so this is no longer dirt, it's all.
And Mr. Manager, are these just trees, or is it,
Yeah, those are trees.
no, how are you gonna keep the water that runs off of it now then?
Well, you know, I don't know if we really agree totally. I mean, we're 23 inches higher on that side of the property than we are to the north, so technically the water is always gonna run downhill, so it's gonna run north. But, I mean, you know, we can certainly have a professional topography shot on the property to see which way it's gonna go. We're adding another catch basin up to the south side of the property.
Okay.
You know,
I see two new ones you're putting in.
The question I have is, the parking, did that need to be advertised? I don't, no? Because I didn't see that as part of what they were requesting, but irrespective of that, I guess my question.
It was that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's here.
Oh, okay. Wasn't in what I saw.
The initially it was not any garage.
I still haven't, I guess I still haven't heard from you as to why you're looking for a variance over, you're allowed 25% expansion. That's separate and apart from what we're talking about with this. But I still haven't really heard why you really need to go 30, why we should give you another 13%. What's the reason? Why do you have to have this? That's what I need to hear. I mean, I understand your concern, and we'll deal with that, but I still need to understand
13%
why.
of construction size, or
Well-
we're actually reducing the amount of parking. Based on the code, square footage times
Well-
it would require 174 parking places.
I wasn't
We're
talking
appealing.
about parking. Because you want to expand to construct a production building and warehouse?
Yes,
Right? And at least what I've seen here is a 13% size, 25% versus 38%. Is that what your calculations work out to, Tom, I guess?
Yes,
So I guess the building size is,
13% over.
that's my question. Your building size exceeds the 25% that is permitted. So you're actually.
based on the non-conforming use.
Correct.
Okay.
That's, so, in order for us to grant that, because right now, the resolution says you're allowed 25%. If you want to expand, you can do it by 25%, and you're allowed to do that. But if you want to exceed that, which is what you're asking for, you want to make it bigger,
Right.
you need to kind of give us a reason why that needs to happen, and why you can't accomplish what you need to do with the 25%. That's kind of what I want to hear.
Well, yeah, it's based off growth. The company's experienced quite a bit of growth over the last 5 years. We've been expanding. We have multiple locations. We just opened up another plant in Navarre. We would like to keep everything under that main facility. That is basically home base for us. All the fabrication and communication and office personnel is out of that building, so we like to refer the Navarre location as the $1 million mile. I mean, trying to transport material back and forth. So, you know, it'd be more convenient, more lucrative for the company to keep it under the same roof. So,
Because otherwise you'd have to, move it to Navarre,
Mhm.
part of it to Navarre,
Yeah,
or do something
yeah.
like that, versus keeping it.
so even with the additional square footage, making it a total of 115,000 square feet, we're still kind of short, but base,
What is it that you produce there?
United Architectural Metals fabricates, engineers, designs exterior facade systems for large high-rise buildings, mainly on the East Coast. Work is Boston, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and New York City. So we build exterior wall panels that are basically flown up and attached to the side of a building.
To make it look pretty.
Yep, exactly. So we will, I think, all that type of work.
And you fabricate at this location then? That's where the fabrication occurs?
Yeah, Clearview currently is fabricating all the aluminum. Basically, the aluminum components is what houses all the glass, stone, or metal panels, whatever is on the exterior facade. So the aluminum is cut, fabricated, engineered, CNC out of that location, and currently is being shipped to Navarre, where it's assembled, fabricated, glazed, and sent to the site. So you've probably seen reduced amount of stored material at that facility because now most of the stored material is being shipped to Navarre. Yeah.
All right. Well, that answers, I guess my question as it relates to that. Let's talk about your neighbors over here in terms of what you would propose to do for them relative to this landscape buffer and address this issue with a fence and or water issues.
Well, we can sit down and try to analyze, what they're looking for. We've tried to be a good neighbor with everybody around us. Most of our property is surrounded by North Canton. But, we were kind enough to give you an extra 5 feet. We moved the fence line back onto our property by 4 feet, okay? So you picked up an additional 4 feet. So we tried to give them a little bit of extra space on their buffer because we didn't want to interfere with your planted area. If you're
So kind of you.
Yeah, thank you. So, I don't know if we can sit down and try to identify, what type of buffer they're looking for, but we're not going to put up a concrete barrier or anything like that. I mean, all we can do is pine trees or some sort of planted type structure to block.
Or types of vinyl fence or something like that?
Well, the fencing does have a vinyl weave, so that's the most obstructed type of fencing that you can get on a chain link fence. So and then we tried to go with a neutral color to be pleasing to the neighborhood also, so it's done in a fashion gray. It's not like it's a bright orange or a bright yellow, so we're trying to blend in as much as we possibly can. But it's a manufacturing facility, that building's been there since 1971, so.
Well,
No,
it is.
a lot of it hasn't.
Well, I mean, it is, and I understand that. I guess, obviously that's part of it, but part of it also is you're seeking to expand it beyond what you're looking, that we allow you. So it's kind of a catch-22 for you, so I understand what you're saying. So I guess we gotta look at it in conjunction with that, at least I do, and evaluate what can be done. So obviously your expansion, I mean, that's fairly expensive expansion, I assume. I mean, you're putting a lot of money
Yeah,
into that.
that'll be a $4 million
Yeah,
addition.
right, in comparison with, I guess what your cost potentially would be to buffer that area a little better. Okay. All right, I think I got enough information on you.
I have a couple questions. Last time you were here, I think we had a discussion about you having to go to the Regional Planning Commission. Am I correct on that? I don't know, was that?
It was consolidation.
To consolidate
Is that
the
Yeah.
lots.
right?
Which all that was done. All
Okay,
three.
my question is, did you go to the Regional Planning Commission?
My attorney's handled it, so.
Oh, well,
That's why they pay you to.
well, to your knowledge, has regional planning approved everything that you requested?
To my knowledge, they have.
And
I
to your
think that was
knowledge,
the last step, this and the appeal for the parking.
and to your knowledge, is there any requirements that regional planning made that you have not met?
No, we had to reconfigure the outside of the building because we don't have a fire suppression system in the building. We had to keep 60 feet of access all the way around the building. So that inside corner behind Rite Aid there, we had to kind of tighten that building up and shrink a little bit of that size, but then we kicked the long leg out just a tad bit to be approved.
And do you have any knowledge whether regional planning made a recommendation about drainage?
No, nobody's made any,
Did regional planning make any recommendation in regards to the parking?
no.
And to your knowledge, has regional planning made any recommendations about the fencing? Um, The fencing that you have up there now, does that have anything to do with the size of the building?
No, it's standard size.
So whether it's the 25% that Mr. Souls was talking about, or the 38%, the fencing is, that doesn't affect the fencing.
Not at all.
Does it affect the drainage issues?
No, not at all.
I don't have any further.
Any further discussions, questions? Any motion?
I'll make a motion. Whereas applicant owner Nesbit Enterprises LLC, 7830 Cleveland Avenue Northwest, North Canton, Ohio, 44720, request to expand a non-conforming use to include a variance for an expansion of a combination production building and warehouse on the property located at 7830 Cleveland Avenue Northwest, Canton, Ohio, 44720, parcel number 55-03. 231, to grant the following, to include a 13% size variance required, 25% increase permitted, 38% increase requested.
I will, I guess I'll note to modify that with a condition that a vinyl fence be installed along the property line that borders the neighbors that testified, and some trees, 6-foot tall fence, to assist in providing some barrier. That would be my motion to modify.
I'll second the motion to modify. Should we have a vote on the motion to modify?
Probably.
Okay, let's take a roll call vote on the motion to modify my motion to add the vinyl fence condition that Mr. Solz had stated.
Mr. Pausalides?
Yes.
Mr. Reichel?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton?
Yes.
Mr. Souls?
Yes.
Mr. Beck?
Yes.
Now we get discussion.
All right, discussion on this.
I mean, I just think that, I mean, I like what you're doing. I think you're a good company. You've done a nice job. You're putting, you know, a tremendous amount of money into this, and I do understand that it's been there. And the neighbors obviously have been there, but you are expanding beyond what really is, we allow. But having said that, I think that would be beneficial to help provide some barrier, and the cost difference relative to what you're putting in there, I think is beneficial. On that, I would approve.
I would also note that Mr. Nesbit was here before. I think we talked about some of the things he needed to do, and he did them when he came back. So we appreciate that he took the time to do that.
I'm going to concur with that, Mr. Nesbit, that in doing what we had asked of him at the last meeting. I think I was asking Mr. Ferraro, you know, is he ever coming back again? Is he ever coming back again? And he told me, well, he's getting all his ducks in a line, and I think he got his ducks in a line for the most part. I think this modification, if we vote with this modification, I think the ducks are totally in line. And I think that would be a nice negotiated way to go. So with the modification, I would approve it as well.
All right. Roll call vote.
Mr. Pausalides?
Yes.
Mr. Reichel?
This is with modification.
Yes.
That was passed, yes. Yes.
Mr. Sutton?
Yes.
Mr. Souls?
Yes.
Mr. Beck?
Yes.
And was there a height on that fence, or?
I think we said 6 foot. I think as far as the drainage goes, I think you have to work with the regional planning. They've reviewed and approved the plans. We really don't do anything with drainage, so.
That was discussed last time, and that was the main reason, is we have a well, so we'll just
Yeah, I think you gotta do
continue
it.
with our attorney and go from
Yeah.
there, because that's what I thought you guys were supposed to help protect the homeowner.
So we don't deal with drainage, unfortunately.
Okay.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Add them to the complaint.
All right, announcement, there'll be a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting on July 5th, 2017. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second. You always beat me.
Aye.